Sheldon Keefe has officially spoken out about getting fired by the Toronto Maple Leafs, and he had a lot to say, and quite frankly, it was very, very interesting. So we're going to break that down in this episode, as well as the new Leafs coach odds have been revealed, and there's some suitors that are interesting, and there's some suitors that are could be likely to go to the Toronto Maple Leafs. So we're going to break all that down, but before we do, we are on the road to 9,000 subscribers. We are very, very close. If you're a part of the 80% who aren't subscribed, it would mean the world to Darius and I if you could make sure to hit that button. We're doing multiple videos a day. We're doing streams almost every couple days, so make sure to hit that, and it would mean the world to Darius and I. But Darius, Sheldon Keefe, quickly, almost like he had it planned out that he was going to get fired from a beach. He came out and said, "Thank you, Leafs Nation." And we're going to go over some of the quotes, but I highly recommend you go to his Twitter page and watch it yourself. It was a class act by Sheldon Keefe. And this is what he had to say. "I didn't get it done in the playoffs. I didn't help push our team over the line and deliver. I accept responsibility for that. No excuses. That's the job. I didn't get it done." Darius, there's a lot more quotes. We're going to start with this one. This is the hardest hitting one. He took full accountability, full responsibility, just like he did in the press conference after, post their loss against the Boston Bruins in Game 7. He's not wrong, but interesting.
Yeah, it was a pretty heartbreaking video to watch. Like, he was pretty sincere, very grateful, all that stuff, and just a classy gesture, too, from Sheldon Keefe. I mean, what a way to go out. I mean, obviously not on top, but it was nice of him to put out that video for Leafs Nation and thanking everyone on the way out as well that helped him get to that point. And he'll be back in the NHL, just on a personal anecdote for Sheldon Keefe. He will be back in the NHL probably soon at some point. And he has the option to take a year off if he wants, even two. But I'm not sure if that's the case. He's going to spend some time with his family, like he said. So good for Sheldon Keefe. Good coach, and he'll be back in the NHL, but just a class act. I enjoyed the video. It was a nice little send-off, and like a lot of the media members, and we'll get to in a second, said, just very classy, and he gave them the time of day, and he made things very easy for everyone, is what it sounded like. So good on Sheldon Keefe.
Yeah, shout out to Sheldon Keefe. We've been doing a lot of, not hating on Sheldon Keefe, but, wanting to switch up for the Leafs, but as a guy, he seems like an absolute beauty, per se. And he says, good reflection of who Sheldon Keefe is, handled the craziness of the market better than anyone else. He's going to be a coach in the NHL for a long time. We have some stuff to discuss about that in a minute here, about a potential team that could be going for him. But you look at the media, they were all on his side. Dealt with many Leafs coaches. None had what Keefe did on his plate. Dude is on the ice, wishing him luck, which was ultimately great. And this was time for him to depart, but he does accept responsibility for the fact that he quite frankly didn't get it done, and that's ultimately what it comes down to, and he understood that. He knows that maybe he lost the locker room a little bit. None of us will really know because we're not in the locker room every day with these guys. I wish, but we're not, so we don't really know how they, we're starting to feel about Sheldon Keefe towards the end. But we do know is that it's the end of Sheldon Keefe's ride as a Toronto Maple Leafs head coach, and we'll give him one departure on the way out for Sheldon Keefe. But before we do that, Darius, this just dropped like 5 minutes ago, and that's why the screenshot's a bit messed up. It says, Pierre LeBrun, I do believe the New Jersey Devils will have interest in interviewing Sheldon Keefe as a part of their coaching search. Now, this makes it a little bit interesting here for a few reasons, and we'll get into some of the odds in a second, but I don't know when Keefe is going to be returning to the NHL as a head coach, but if the Devils are interested in him, maybe that opens up some room for Craig Berube going to the Leafs.
This makes things very interesting. And to move on from Sheldon Keefe, wish him the best of luck, all that stuff. The Leafs needed a change. And now that we're talking about change, this opens the door for Craig Berube to come in as Leafs head coach, because it sounds like he's deciding, or at least held out for the Leafs job. And now it sounds like the Devils also want him and will pay him, because there was the whole thing with Ottawa potentially having him and going through an interview process with him, but money didn't work out. So this is very interesting. The Devils want him, but now, excuse me, with the Devils wanting Sheldon Keefe, because they weren't sure that door was going to open. We didn't even know that door was possibly going to open today. We weren't sure, right? We were going to find out either today or tomorrow. And now the Devils sound like they might want Sheldon Keefe. That would fill their role at the head coach position, and maybe the Leafs can get Craig Berube out of that. That would be very interesting. This is a new development. Very interesting.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if he just says, screw it, I'm going to go coach the Devils next year, and then doesn't take as much time off as he needs, or not as he needs, as he wants, per se. But, I mean, he's getting paid to be unemployed right now, technically, so maybe he'll just enjoy that time. And, again, shout out to Keefe, so long to Keefe, and it was good while it lasted, kind of, depending on who you ask. But let's move on now, Darius, to some of the coaching odds here. And you can see one betting site's odd for the next Maple Leafs coach sure feels like it's Berube. Berube's 3-1. And if you go on different ones, there's FanDuel, there's different kind of things here. This one is interesting. FanDuel's is a bit different than this one, but you see Craig Berube's 3-1. Gerard Gallant is 4-1. Jay Woodcroft 5-1, Bruce Boudreau 6-1, and Guy Boucher, Lord help us all, it's not him, is 7-1. And then there's some other guys there as well. Rob Brindamore is one a lot of Leafs fans wanted, and we discussed it on our stream, but it might be a bit harder because who knows about his situation with the Carolina Hurricanes, even though we do know that they withdrew their extension offer, we believe, from the Hurricanes. We look at the FanDuel one. This is Berube, the favorite again, with Dean Evison, or Evison, however you pronounce it, former Wild coach. So Darius, the odds are looking like Craig Berube, no matter which way you slice the pie here. And these, again, betting odds don't necessarily have insider information, but they're right a lot of the time just because of what they hear from reporters and things like that.
Yeah, and all we've heard the last couple of days is Craig Berube. Like, there is a lot of noise, and there's a lot of Craig Berube out there. So I feel like there's got to be something to it, right? It sounds like it's probably going to be him, but you got to figure out the logistics. And I'm sure he's listening to other offers, of course. Like, even we heard with Ottawa, he went through an entire process with them. So there's still a lot on the table, and we'll find out soon. I wanted to address the Joel Quenneville thing too, because I just found out on Twitter this morning that the league actually hasn't, released him from whatever protocol that is that they're going through. He has to kind of pass something. So I'm not sure that is something. And plus, with the Leafs knowing their track history or their history and all that stuff, I wouldn't touch Joel Quenneville. I don't think he's going to be an option for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I wanted to put that to bed. But you never know. But I just don't think it's going to be an option. Craig Berube looks like he's going to be the guy. A lot of great options too. So if he does come off the table, the Leafs do have a lot of options. It's better than last year's crop, I believe. So they have a lot of options going forward. But it just feels like Craig Berube is already the coach. Something about it. Everyone's talking about him. Everyone's linking him to the Leafs and the Leafs to him. So it's going to be very interesting to keep an eye on. It might happen sooner rather than later just because we don't know what Sheldon Keefe's thinking either. And if the Devils aren't able to acquire Sheldon Keefe, then their eyes are still on Craig Berube as well.
Yeah, and you look at some of this here. It says, this is from Derek Jerry. Toronto's focused on finding the right fit, and they want to act quickly. We covered this earlier. Work is underway, and hiring Keefe's replacement. Living isn't making a rushed hire and won't wait around. And again, we covered this earlier, but it kind of goes to show that they are trying to quickly get things under action. And Craig Berube, we saw it on the NHL on TNT, the little camera zoom that went in there. Yep. Paul Bissonnette saying he'll announce him going to Toronto. Like, it seems like everything is falling in place for Craig Berube, and now he is officially named as the favorite by multiple betting sites to be the Leafs' next head coach by a hefty margin at that. And there's a chance, maybe they entertain Jay Woodcroft, some of these guys, Todd McClellan. But it seems like at the end, on probably not Friday, early next week, we'll see Craig Berube, and that's a whole nother video. Obviously, he won the Cup with the Blues, but he also has his own problems with getting out of the first round. But he won it. Former Leaf player. He'll know the locker room. Good work.
Yeah, it could work out. Former Leaf, like you said, it's a good fit. I think it would be a good fit, but I think the most interesting thing to keep in mind here is they've now replaced the coach, and he was a good coach, I think, right? The record spoke for itself. Obviously, didn't get it done in the playoffs. But if you go back and look at the Amazon documentary, which I brought up in the last couple of videos and streams we've done, I don't know if this is a coaching thing. They're going to replace the coach again with the same core players. Now it's on possibly the president. We're going to see what happens with that tomorrow, and the players at this point. They've changed everything else. The GM is gone. They got a new GM this year. They got a new coach going into next year. What else is there to be done? I think that's something to keep an eye on and to think about, because I'm not sure that the pieces that they're replacing are actually part of the biggest problem.
Yeah, and now we're going to see what happens next. Tomorrow's going to be a very busy day, so you don't want to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications for that, because a lot of news is going to come out tomorrow. But thank you guys for watching. We'll see you soon.